Spartans! Every man is born fragile, but only a few die strong. Few ever learn to master the chaos outside and within. The Spartans, they did not live to please the world. They lived to conquer it. Today, you will discover the 12 rules of Spartan life. Apply them and your world will change. Ignore them and you will remain just another man. The choice is yours. Rule 1. Stand tall like a warrior because the enemy is always watching. The first lesson in Sparta was not how to hold a spear. It was how to carry yourself as a warrior. Before you speak, you communicate. Your posture, your breathing, your presence. If you enter a room with your body bent, eyes down, shoulders collapsed, you've already lost. Spartans were taught from childhood that the enemy is always watching, and that the way you walk into a room speaks louder than any speech. On the battlefield, posture was everything. A single moment of hesitation, a glance of fear, could drive the enemy to strike harder. Now, bring that to your own life. When you walk down the street, when you enter a meeting, when you face yourself in the mirror, do you look like a man ready to fight? Or like someone already defeated by life? From this day forward, do the following. Lift your shoulders, straighten your spine, lock eyes, breathe deep. Begin each morning by looking in the mirror and taking the stance of a man on a mission. Change your body language before you change your life. Because the body shapes the mind, and the mind shapes the world. Rule 2. Speak less, fight more. In Sparta, silence was a sign of strength, while other cities got lost in words, politics, and promises. The Spartans stood out for their actions. There's a famous story of an Athenian envoy who criticized Sparta's economy, culture, and even their simple clothing. When he was done, a Spartan general replied with just one word: laconic. Spartans never wasted energy on empty speeches. They acted. Today, we live in an age of endless talk. Everyone wants to look disciplined, strong, productive. But few have the courage to stay silent and actually do the work. So here's how to put it into practice and change your life. Stop announcing what you're going to do. Just do it. Make fewer promises. Show more results. Avoid pointless debates. Save your energy to build, not to prove. Want people to respect you. Speak less. Show up more with action. Rule 3. Surround yourself with warriors, not victims. In Sparta, one man alone was nothing, but beside 300 lions, he became immortal. The Spartan army was made of men who endured the same cold, the same whip, the same pain. One man's shield protected the others. If one failed, everyone was at risk. Now, look around you. Who are the people surrounding you? Are you among men who push you forward, or among those who drag you down with excuses, complaints, and mediocrity? Living surrounded by people who always have an excuse not to grow is like going to war with soldiers who drop their sword at the first threat. So, here's how to apply it. Break the cycle of weakness. Leave groups where everyone plays the victim. Seek out people who challenge you, who train, build, and act. Remember, your life will become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. In Sparta, you didn't just choose friends. You chose the men who would fight at your side when the world was on fire. And you? Who are you going to life's war with? Who's really standing beside you? Rule 4. Train like your life depends on it, because it does. A A warrior who doesn't train is just a pretty target. In Sparta, physical training was daily, brutal, and non-negotiable. It started at age 7 in the feared agoge, the military training system that turned boys into war machines. They learned to endure pain, hunger, cold, beatings, and defeat. Not to show off muscles, but to survive the impossible. When Leonidas chose the 300, he didn't pick the physically strongest. He chose those who endured suffering with honor, those who didn't break when everything hurt. And you? Do you train for vanity or for discipline? Here's a 7-day challenge. Train every single day. No breaks, no excuses. In the morning, do sets of push-ups, squats, and sit-ups. Add a 10-minute walk or run. Do this every day, and it will change you. At night, reflect and visualize the next day. Prepare your mind for the battle ahead, because training isn't just about muscles. It's about control, and the one who controls the body begins to control destiny. Rule 5. Take full responsibility, no whining. In Sparta, blaming others was a sign of cowardice. If the harvest failed, the farmer was accountable. If the battle was lost, the general faced the mistake head on. Warriors had no time for whining. If the sword fell, it was the fault of a weak hand, not the wind. Today, we live in the age of outsourcing blame. It's the government's fault, our parents, the algorithms, societies, even the full moons. But here's the brutal truth. As long as you blame something outside yourself, you'll remain weak. From now on, apply this during the next few days. Whenever you're about to complain, stop. Replace it with the question, what can I do about this? Grab a pen and paper and write, which areas of my life are a mess because I allowed them to be? Face it, admit it, and act. Responsibility is hard, but it's the only door to freedom. Rule 6. Master your home before trying to change the world. Top military generals often say, clean your room before you criticize the world. The Spartans would say, organize your polis before demanding respect from the gods. Sparta was minimalist. Everything had function. Everything had purpose. Everything had order. Leonidas didn't lead the 300 because he spoke well. He led because he already ruled over his own life. Today, we see men wanting to change the world while living in messy rooms with chaotic habits and broken routines. You want to be a leader? Start by leading yourself. Here's a practical, foolproof challenge for the next 7 days. Organize your room. Your external environment shapes your internal one. Set daily rituals. Wake up at the same time. Eat clean meals. Take cold showers, read, reduce chaos, cut the excess, clean the space, silence the noise. Sparta was respected because it was feared. And it was feared because it was consistent, disciplined, and functional. You will only be respected once you've mastered your own home. Rule 7. Endure pain like a warrior because no one can do it for you. Pain was part of Spartan routine. There was no anesthesia, no therapist, no self-care day. Pain was ritual. Pain was initiation. In the Agoge, young Spartans were left exposed to the elements. They hunted to eat, slept on stone, endured brutal beatings. All of it to learn that pain wasn't the end. It was the beginning. They didn't complain, not because they didn't feel it, but because they knew no one else could endure it for them. Today, we live in a culture that worships comfort and falls apart at the first frustration. But you need to understand this brutal truth. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. From now on, when pain arrives, physical, emotional, or mental. Stop running from it. Face it, feel it, absorb it. Train voluntary exposure to discomfort, cold showers, fasting, physical exertion. Create a personal command phrase. This is forging me. Repeat it every time pain strikes. Pain teaches what nothing else can. And in the end, you won't be the same. You'll be stronger. Rule 8. Have a purpose so clear that no storm can sway you. The 300 knew they were going to die, but even so, they went because they were on a mission. Spartans did not act out of motivation. They acted out of conviction. They knew why they fought. Today, what men lack is not motivation. It is a clear purpose. A man without purpose gets lost in distractions, sinks into vices, and hides behind excuses. But a man with purpose, he does not retreat. He does not sell out. He does not corrupt himself. Now, take a piece of paper and write, if I only had 1 year to live, what would I do every single day? Turn that answer into your goal. Wake up every day and read it out loud. With every decision from now on, ask, does this bring me closer to or further from my purpose? If your why is strong enough, no pain will ever be too great. No fear will ever be enough to stop you. Rule 9. Speak the truth, even if your voice trembles. Lies weaken the spirit. In Sparta, truth was law. Even if it was harsh, even if it hurt, even if it killed, lying was synonymous with weakness, because only the weak need to hide reality to survive. And truth is not just what you say, it's what you live, it's what you avoid, it's what you know but ignore. For a ruthless life, from now on, make an inventory. Where have I been lying to myself? Where am I acting incoherently with who I want to be? Choose one area of your life to restore with truth. Relationship, health, work. Face it, communicate it, correct it. Truth may cost friendships, status, and praise, but it gives you back what nothing else can. Honor. Rule 10. Kill the weak man living inside you. Sparta had no room for lukewarm men. If a warrior hesitated, retreated, or broke under pressure, he was left behind, not out of cruelty, but out of preservation. Every warrior knew the greatest enemy is not out there, it's in here. Inside each of us lives a man who procrastinates, complains, waits for change without lifting a finger. That man must die, not with speeches, but with disciplined, relentless action until the very end. Now apply this to your life. Identify the habits of your weak self. Hit snooze, junk food, pornography, self-pity. Pick one destructive habit and bury it this week. Create a ritual of transition. A cold shower, a clean space, a symbolic cut. You cannot become a new man while the old version still breathes. Today, you will bury him and never look back. Rule 11. Fight for something greater than yourself or die empty. Leonidas and the 300 knew they weren't coming back, and yet they went. Why? Because their lives had a purpose beyond their own existence. They fought for Sparta, for their children, for freedom, for an eternal example. Today, many men live without purpose because they live only for themselves. To live for comfort, for money, for likes is the path to a death without glory. Reflect on your own life. Who would benefit if I lived at my very best? It might be your family, your wife, your friends, your people. Choose that cause as your compass. Every time you think of quitting, remember, you don't live only for you. The man who lives only for himself dies alone. But the man who lives for something greater becomes immortal. Rule 12! Remember, you will die, but fight as if you were immortal! Memento Mori! Remember death! The Spartans didn't avoid the end. They trained with the certainty that death was only a transition. That's why they faced impossible battles with fire in their eyes. They knew that one day they would fall. But until then, they would fight with everything. You will die. That is the only certainty. The question is, how will you live until then? Now, in this final rule to change your life, write your ideal tombstone. Here lies a man who... and complete it. Live the next 7 days as if your story were being carved in stone. Every decision must honor the idea that today could be your last battle. The fear of death weakens, but the awareness of death sets you free. Today, you've been guided by 12 laws, not laws to merely survive, but laws to win, to forge a name time cannot erase, to be remembered just as the 300 were remembered. If you live by these 12 rules, you will no longer be ordinary. You will become the beginning of a bloodline of strength. Now tell me, which rule have you been neglecting in your life? Which rule will guide your next battle? Comment below your personal story. What made you change your life and reach success? The truth is, you can close this video and return to your ordinary life. Or you can rise now and begin the war that will change everything. Be remembered or be forgotten. The choice is yours.